What's going on, guys? So I'm almost level 92, and I figured it would be a good time to make an updated build video for my Shadow Clone Rogue build. And yeah, I'm going to go over, as I do in my previous ones, the stats, advanced stats, gear, skills, Paragon, and I'll do a dungeon at the end, so you guys can see it in action. So starting off stats here, I mean, I've been trying to focus as much as I can on dexterity of 912, and then, you know, whatever else my gear and Paragon give me to give me more of the strength, intelligence, willpower. Almost 10,000 attack power, almost 5,000 armor, and 11.6k life. For the advanced stats, with my gear, 40% critical strike chance and good vulnerable damage, damage versus crowd control, 252%. More damage versus healthy. And another thing I've been focusing on is damage with cutthroat, because I'm using twisted blades, and damage with core, because twisting blades is a core skill. I'm currently level rank 9 out of 5, or yeah, rank 9. Talked about the life, dodge chance 16.2%, and yeah, that's the basics that I'm focused on here in the stats page. So for my gear, and I've been upgrading this, you could see I don't have rubies in here anymore. Instead, I'm using topazes because they give me the damage reduction while control impaired. I found I'm most vulnerable when I'm like slowed or stunned and I can't move and or heal or anything. And the fact that I get now like 50%, because I got 5 gems here, damage reduction while control impaired is critical. Plus I have a skill that I invest into more damage reduction while control impaired, and that's actually been a lot better than focusing on increased life percentage. So I got my helm here, Shadow Imbuement, max life stats, and I've trying to been finding gear with like either melee damage, core damage, max life, and also damage reduction from close specifically, if not just damage reduction in general. For the helmet, I have basic skills grant more damage reduction, 20%, which is pretty significant for 5.5 seconds. The armor, this is really cool because I can get more dark shrouds, being that I attack so quickly with my my puncture. This has been really useful, especially against like bosses, elites, things like that. I almost have like an endless supply of Dark Shroud. And I do have Dark Shroud here. I could swap it for something else, but I liked having the ability to get Dark Shrouds while I'm attacking enemies. And then, worst case, if I'm low, I could always pop this and always have max Dark Shroud. So that would give you like almost 50% more damage reduced when you have 5 shadows at once. So pretty cool. I want to try that against Uber Lilith once I get to 100, and that's my goal for this character. Then for my gloves, I got 4 ranks of Twisting Blades, Lucky Hit Chance, Crit Chance, and Attack Speed, all great. And then critical strikes with core skills increase my attack speed. I'm trying to find better pants here, but not bad right now. Damage reduction from close, Imbuement skill reduction, dexterity, and then dodge chance against close enemies. So this dodge chance is like 16%. It's actually better. I'm usually, fighting up close, so I get that plus the extra 12% against close. Then I have the aspect of getting armor, so I almost have like 50% more armor when I'm dealing any kind of damage. On my boots, I have evade charges, 4 ranks of dash, dodge chance, some resist, and this aspect is dealing direct damage to vulnerable enemies, has a chance to daze them, which works into my stun daze type build where I'll do more damage to enemies like that are dazed or stunned or crowd controlled. Twisting Blades here on my my bow, in addition to dexterity, core skill, all stats, and more vulnerable damage. Now the all stats is awesome because it gives me the extra bonus on the Paragon, which I'll show you in a little bit. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to reach it. This amulet is awesome. 3 to agility skills, 3 to the exploit passive, and I'll go into that when I show the skills. But that with the cutthroat damage and the dexterity gives me tons and tons of extra damage. In addition, you deal 60% increased damage to stunned enemies. So when I use my evade, and I'll just go to this here. When I evade, I do drop stun grenades. So the enemies are basically getting 60% more damage pretty much always, because I could evade like 3 or 4 times, and then my skills allow me to refresh that. So I could evade a lot more. When I dash and I hit a dazed enemy, then it reduces my cooldown for the evade. And you can see here I have 4 charges because of my boots. As I showed before, this has a life and critical chance. I don't really need the cold damage, so I'm trying to look for a better ring, but the physical damage is nice. And then the aspect, which gives me stun grenades. Then this ring, again, I have physical damage, critical strike chance, max energy, max life, and skills deal more damage based on my primary resource. So when that's full, I'm doing tons more damage on my Twisted Blades, and then I could regenerate, even do some decent damage with Puncture as well. Then for my weapons, I have Condemnation. I'm trying to find an upgraded version of this. I haven't found it yet, but overall, it's been the best one for me. It increases attack speed, which is critical, and core skill damage, as well as gives me more core skill damage when I have 3 combo points. And my basic skills have a chance of just generating full combo points, 30% chance. Ashira's Kanjar hits with this weapon will increase my attack speed and up to like almost 30%, which is nuts. Plus I get damage to crowd control. And the 40% movement speed is actually pretty helpful when I'm cruising through dungeons. As well as the lucky hit chance, which is pretty nice for dazing, especially bosses, when I can get to the stagger on them. So that's the gear here. I'll go into the skills. And this hasn't changed all that much since my last video. But basically using Puncture, Twisting Blades, maxed, and then I maxed out the Siphoning Strikes and Sturdy for more close damage reduction. There's a little bit of a change here where I added more to gain damage reduction while inflicted by control impairing effects. So that's like 62% with that and my the topazes in my gear. And that's really been a good survival asset for my character. More damage to healthy enemies when I'm using daggers. I only have 1 point in dash, but all my equipment give me 7 skills to it with my amulet and my boots. So I only need 1 point, and it still has a solid cooldown of 7.5. And then when I critically strike a dazed enemy, they're knocked down. In addition, my evade cooldown is reduced whenever I daze an enemy, and this happens a lot, so I can continue to evade and drop grenades. The slow on the daze. I started putting more points in Dark Shroud. Originally I only had 1 point, but I like having more damage reduction as I do like harder dungeons. And eventually when I get to Lilith, this is going to be, I believe, critical. This is awesome. 3 more skill points into, or ranks into Exploit, which gives me 18% more increased damage to healthy and injured enemies. Max Malice, Max Shadow Imbuement, Shadow Crash, and Consuming Shadows. And then being that I'm doing the Shadow Clone build, this coupled with my Paragon Legendary Node allows me to deal like 20, I think it's 20% more damage after I activate Shadow Clone. And then the bonuses for the Shadow Clone, more damage, and you are unstoppable after using it, which is good for getting out of crowd controls. Haste for more attack speed, and then I use Close Quarters Combat for the attack speed. And this is a recent buff. I get 30% now increased damage against crowd control enemies. Okay, Paragon. So I'm using Chip here, which gives me more physical damage and more have the enemies get more physical damage. And then I've been getting all the dexterity nodes as well to increase that up to like 80% physical damage. This was awesome here. 80% or 92% now cutthroat skill damage increased, and I get reduced damage while I'm using dagger. And I tried to find all the dexterity nodes. Plus, this really helps because you get 10 dexterity here, 10 dexterity here, which factors into this closer glyph socket. And then all these rare nodes, which give me more damage to slowed enemies, crowd controlled enemies, healthy enemies, any kind of damage is what I'm looking for. This is the one where the ultimate skills deal 30% increased damage. Oh, and actually I get 10% increased damage for 20 seconds. So it's really, really critical when I fight bosses, and it kills them pretty quickly, especially when they get to injured. I have more damage to injured enemies. And when I stagger them, I do even more damage. That's 60% extra damage to stun. So it's insane burst damage when I use this. With the Shadow Clone, that's just by damage alone. Then you have the Shadow Clone mimicking your attacks. Maximum life, more damage, and more damage to crowd control. I started coming over here to the right here for more core skill damage, basic skill and regular skill damage. And then the rare nodes here, more damage overall and core skill damage. So you can see where I'm going with this build. And I got to see where I'm going to go with the next 8 levels. I want to kind of get some more attack speed. It's on another board. But yeah, I mean, it's been awesome, and been cruising through like 40s and 50s dungeons without much of an issue. And my ultimate goal, I'll probably have to respec out of Shadow when I fight Lilith because it's more AoE damage. But for now, this is my overall build. My stats, advanced stats, gear, skills, Paragon. And then I will just do, I don't know, whatever dungeon. What do we got here? We do this one here. Actually, these are a quick one. And we'll do Abandoned Mineworks to see how that goes. And I like that you could travel right to it now, which is very helpful. That plus the XP boost that we got recently in the recent patch makes me more likely to believe I could hit 100, when before it was, I don't know, I was still planning to hit it, but it was definitely more difficult. Alright, so here we go. So I'll put up my Dark Shroud and Shadow Imbuement. And what I like to do with groups, Shadow Imbuement, and then I could always use the Shadow Clone. And it's hard to see, but it's mimicking everything you do. And you can see when I use the Marksman skill, in addition, I still have 2 Dark Shrouds because of the critical strike on Lucky Hit. I'm basically getting 3 Dark Shrouds instantly. I'll probably eventually, if you know, I don't need it anymore, switch out of Dark Shroud and maybe use Shadow Step or something, because I get 3 Dark Shrouds anyway. But this is, I'll show you when I evade too. It stuns them, the stun grenades, and if I'm crowd control, I get like 60% reduced damage in addition to the close reduction damage I get from my skills. So before I was like extremely worried whenever I get crowd control, now I'm like, it's not as bad because you're reducing more than 50% of that damage when you're stunned, or if you're in a web or whatever the crowd control. So whenever there's like a few enemies left, I could usually kind of build up my charges again with my marksman. It is annoying getting webbed all the time, so while I think a lot of people, I like this because of the good monster density, but you can't even see the webs really when you're killing all these monsters, and you're just like all of a sudden rooted. So unless I use my Shadow Clone. Now I can use... Oh shoot. I was going to say I can use Preparation instead to use Shadow Clone more. It's really your preference. I like to go use the combo points because it gives me the extra 60% movement bonus. So I can cruise through dungeons more quickly. But if you want to use Shadow Clone more often, which is fine too, you just don't get the movement speed, you'll be able to do, I would say it's more damage than the combo points. And you could use it more often as you spend more and more energy. This gets reduced by 4 seconds each time. And I'm rapidly using this Twisted Blades, so that cooldown goes down pretty quickly. And it's really nice being able to evade whenever I want, stun the enemies, and then just keep moving forward. So in like the lower dungeons, I really don't need to use the Dark Shroud as an actual skill, because it doesn't really matter. I don't take all that much damage, and I could swap it in for like Shadow Step or something for more speed. But I just want to show you the current build I've been working on, and I'm sure once I hit level 100 it'll be different than it is now. But I really like this build so far.
I need more time.
So I'm just going to add more dexterity here. So I have 85% physical damage. And without any combo points, I'm doing what, 27,000 to 33,000 damage per Twisted Blade. Nice shrine here. Good timing on that. And the shrines with this attack speed, I mean, I'm sure it's like instant kill with any build, but it's just rapid fire. Another reason I like the speed of this build is when you get these shrines, it could be like, you could take out like double the amount of mobs where you could otherwise, I guess the only weakness is like the ranged enemies, because I have a lot of damage reduction versus close. But if you get like a group of enemies that are mowing you down, or those electric ones, that's where I can get into some trouble, where I need the Dark Shroud just in case. I usually use the Shadow Clone right when I'm fighting, to get like an elite or a boss, because again, for the burst damage. And it's also nice having like every dungeon or so, I get like half a quarter of a bar or half a Paragon point. So 100 is possible for me. Many people have already gotten to 100, but it's just my goal. Normally I could do these things so much quicker, but the spider web route is so annoying. It's like every time. Might as well add the spider elixir. A little late now, but this one seems to be the hardest one. Keeping these adventurers alive. They die in like 2 hits. Like, you could stay on top of them and do as much damage, and they just look at this, they get instant death. I don't know if there's a trick to this or what, but I haven't been successful. Oh, I thought there's going to be a final boss. Okay, well, that's it. What is this? I've actually not gotten this one before. You gain 18%. Huh. Dexterity, max energy. Good roll on that one. Good roll on the crowd control. Now I don't get my shadow imbuement ranks or health or stats. Or damage reduction. Huh. It's probably not even better than what I have now. Like, I don't get more health, I don't get more cooldown reduction. I mean, I got max cooldown reduction on the other one. I'll see if there's anything that I do that needs more lucky hit chance, but for now I think I'm gonna keep my legendary helm. And I'll just keep adding control. Alright, so that's the dungeon, that's the video. It's long enough as it is. I'll try to make another video once I fight Lilith. And if you guys have any questions or comments or suggestions, feel free to let me know below. Thanks for watching.